Agents, what if I told you that chasing that next deal is absolutely a part of your business, but what you do while you're chasing that next deal can set you up for success and exponentially grow your business by turning that next deal into 7 more, and then 7 more, and then 7 more. This is something that I think a lot of times we miss out on as we're getting into the business and doing what we have to do, is working on our business while we work in our business. So stay tuned till the end. I'm going to come with a holistic approach on my thoughts on what you can do while you're chasing that next single deal to turn that single deal into 7 more. Stay tuned. Hey everybody, Coach Kane here with the Realtor Playbook, helping real estate professionals win every single day at the game of real estate. Please smash that subscribe button, throw me a like, a comment. Let's start the conversation. If you are interested in booking a call with me to talk about your current situation and how we can strategize to help you win, or partnering with me and the Agent Wolfpack and Mike Sherrard, please grab that Calendly link below. I would love to sit down and chat with you and help you continue to win at this game of real estate. All right, here it is. First things first, we do a lot of the hard things in the morning, so definitely I'm not telling you to stop prospecting. Have that prospecting block, dedicate fully to that, go all in, and make sure you're making the calls, you're building those connections, and having those conversations, because those conversations ultimately are what we call leads in the business. However, what we tend to do when we're newer or just getting our production going or wanting to jumpstart it or increase or scale our business, we tend to focus on where can I get those leads? What can I do to get that next deal? That is very important. Like I said, focus your lead generation time, but there is no way that a person can lead generate for 8, 10, 12 hours at a time. It's just not something we do. We aren't productive if we are doing that. And there is some special agents out there that might be able to do that. But I know to build a successful business, there's other things you can be doing with your time to help you, add to that lead generation time and lead to that success rate while you are chasing that next deal, while you are doing that prospecting. So again, please block that prospecting time off, go all in on that. But then after, your 2-hour, 3-hour segment, I think that's probably the time where it's done. And these are the things that we can do outside of that time to continue to work on your business and maybe help with some of those conversations and maybe help with some of that conversion. So here it is. The first thing is commit to learning. There's so many agents out there that get their license, and they're all about it. They take that continuing education courses, they're all up on it. And then all of a sudden when they get the first deal, they continue to forget about it. So even in my business as a tenured realtor, I definitely take some time to educate myself. I went to 3 classes this week just to learn. And if it doesn't help me or doesn't apply to me, it's maybe a different way I can teach my agents how to do it. And always be looking for that next way to help that next client. Or say we're doing cold calls or we're doing sphere development or whatever that may be, and a conversation comes up and this person says, hey, I want to be a real estate investor, but I own a marijuana business, or I want to invest in real estate, but I don't know where to start. Or they throw up, objections or roadblocks. There's always a program, there's always something we can do. It might not be right away, but the more education you have and the more holistic and global approach you take to it, every person you talk to that is engaging you in a real estate conversation could be a lead, could be a closed client, at some point in your career. And at the end of the day, we want to build this career and be successful. So every single conversation, every single engagement is an opportunity to change that person's life. Also, educate yourself on the buying process. Go show houses, go preview houses, grab a friend and, role play with them. Definitely that piece is huge, and that's pretty easy. I think a lot of agents, have that down. They can show houses. This allows you to work with lock boxes, get used to objections, have your friend kind of engage, or your wife or spouse or whoever it may be, and, have them role play as the client. Maybe even have them role play as an agent and see different routes that you might be able to use or tactics you might be able to use to help show a home properly. But also hook up with another agent that's doing something and kind of tag along. Ask them questions about the contract process. Ask them if, they can come to buyer consultations or whatever that may be, to just ingrain yourself with all of the knowledge and the different ways to do it, because at the end of the day, no one does it the same. There's no right answer. If I was your mentor and your coach and I was telling you to do it this way, it worked for me, I sold 52 transactions in 2021 or whatever that may be, you're still not going to do it exactly like me, because your personality is different. And that is why there is several real estate agents across the country, right? Because every real estate agent's different. Everyone does it a little bit differently, but everyone has their specific place and their specific way to do it. It's just we have to educate ourselves and know that entire buying process. Know lenders, talk to lenders, talk about the different programs that are available, and just educate yourself on the entire buying process. Just because you've done it or you've had 10 buyers and now you want to learn how to do listings doesn't mean that you can give up on your buying business altogether. Some people turn into just listing agents. Personally, I do it for the people. That's not my style. So I'll list your house and help you buy a house. Why not? That's a big payday, right? That's when those $10,000 checks turn into $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 checks, right? Because usually it's either an upsize or a downsize, so you have different levels of volume and things of that nature. So always be working on your craft and mastering your craft and measuring what you're doing, talking to people like how do you get leads, what's your process. And realtors will share all of their information if you just build that relationship with them and kind of stay out of their way. You can't be hey, I want to follow you around and ask you a million questions and, take a lot of your time. But if you're a fly on the wall, any realtor probably would let you kind of tag along, especially if you're working in their organization or whatever. So that's my first tip, is ingrain yourself with people that are successful in the business, see how they do it. And you're not taking just rip off and duplicate from them. You're taking little things. If you get one or two things from 5 successful agents, and then you frame it to your personality, you can absolutely change your business forever. And then the same goes for the seller's process. This is a little bit different. You have listing presentations, feels a little more formal. I personally have like a buyer consultation that is like a listing presentation for that end of it. So if you're tagging along with an agent, going to listing presentations, go to closings, go to appraisals. I know a lot of listing agents don't do that, but I would suggest maybe checking that out. It's good stuff. And just the whole process from listing appointment, even prospecting listings, however people do it. There's so many different ways. Everybody wants listing leads, right? And everybody is like, oh, we just want that internet listing lead. Well, we've all come to find out that internet leads are mostly on the buyer side. Sometimes they have a house to sell. Everyone's like, the best listing leads on the internet are buyer leads, right? So from that prospecting piece to getting a sign in the ground and the processes that people use and the tricks and the little one-liners that people use at listing appointments to attending listing appointments. And again, a big thing about listings is knowing the market, right? How many people have you heard over time be like, yeah, I just listed with, that neighborhood expert. Okay, here's the deal. We all have access to the MLS. We all have access to, the schools and the parks and the trails and all the stuff that are selling points. How is there a neighborhood expert? Just because I live in this neighborhood doesn't mean that all the other data that's out there couldn't have somebody come into my neighborhood and list a house appropriately. However, that person is ingrained. That person is doing the marketing. That person, they see the sign. It's an echo effect, right? They just keep seeing stuff. They keep seeing stuff. So that's a huge piece of all of real estate marketing and branding, is staying in front of people, staying top of mind. So if you know all of those processes and you can have your own listing presentation, you have your own listing appointment and do it your way, you will convert far more than if you take somebody else's listing presentation and use all of their sales tactics and things of that nature to apply to maybe your clientele that catches on to that sales stuff right away and doesn't like it. Next opportunity is dive into that contract process. Talk to an experienced agent again, go to classes. There are contract classes everywhere. Your local realtor boards, all kinds of brokerages offer those contract classes. So dive into those contracts, know line by line, know exactly how to fill it out. At the end of the day, once you do it, I've been told several times, oh, you write such a great contract. Literally, I'm just filling in boxes based on, what my client wants, what my expertise is and knowing, what each date and how to explain each date. But if you get to that point and you can explain contracts and, clients feel comfortable with you, it becomes a lot easier. If it takes you 15 minutes to draft a contract versus 2 hours every time because you're always trying to figure it out, or once you get that lead, you're like, okay, it's time to go. Like, what's this contract? What's this contract? You have to be able to summarize. You have to know your client. The contracts change all the time. So go to those education classes. Me as a 9-year agent, absolutely check in on those red line contract classes, and especially when they change. But also, it's great to get a refresher course. Just go check it out. At EXP, we have training for the Colorado State Group. We have the training once every week, and every other week it's just line by line contract stuff, people asking questions, people seeing different things. In our market right now, things are pretty hot, so buyers are kind of waiving some stuff and limiting some rights and things of that nature. Absolutely imperative that you know what every single thing is doing, what other people are doing, what other people are seeing, and what your managing broker especially, how they want you to conduct. Obviously, you have to be able to compete, but if you're writing appraisal gaps that aren't supported by your managing broker, there's problems. So make sure that you're touching base with your managing broker and how they want to do it and asking them questions, but also going, branching out a little bit and seeing how other people dictate contracts and, different strategies that people are using to have their buyers win. Next is a big one, network with other agents, okay? This makes all of that, tagging along stuff a lot easier. So if you're networking with other agents, the more and more you can do it, the better. Just yesterday, I was at an appraisal for one of my listings and I ran into another agent there. The inspection was going on at the same time. Again, weird, right? The contract dates are changing a little bit. People are flexing. This was the first time it happened to me. I was there with the buyer's agent, the buyers, the inspector. I kind of let them do their thing. I was there meeting the appraiser, making sure that, they were able to get what they needed appropriately without having to, take too much of their time or whatever. So I was just there to manage, right? In the meantime, I was talking to another agent and she was new to the industry. She just a sponge. You could tell right away when I met her, she was an absolute sponge. She's asking me questions, asking me about all kinds of stuff. Turns out her mom and dad are both realtors. Like, she'd been in the industry, but she took that opportunity to figure it out. And she's with a company that she's able to just get paid a salary and do her thing as she learns. And I was just like, the education is so important because you're going to be in those situations. She's like, I've talked to other realtors and they haven't done any of the things that I've done. And in 2 months, I've done, XYZ. So that was really cool and kind of an eye opener for me to understand that is so important. When she does branch out and goes to a more traditional brokerage, she's going to be able to be an asset to her clients. She's going to be an asset to that next deal she's chasing. And once she gets that deal, lands the deal, gets them under contract, gets them through the process, they're absolutely going to appreciate that because she doesn't have to be like, let me call my mentor, let me call my managing broker, because she already knows those things because she's putting in the time early on while she is chasing that next deal to learn and educate. So as a general rule of thumb, obviously, I would say have 2 business industry partners per week that you're meeting with. This is pretty easy because it's a lot of incoming. You'll have a ton of lenders, maybe a couple inspectors reaching out to you, maybe title people trying to earn your business. I would say typically, ask the higher producers in your office if they have some lenders they would recommend for newer agents. The next thing I tell people all the time is you have to get your people, right? Lenders, inspectors, we all work differently. And one thing that I do, pro tip here, is when I meet with a outside business industry partner, I say, hey, if you're gonna buy or sell a house, what realtor would you use? And if they say, we have this one or my wife's a realtor, maybe I don't send them as much business because in the odd chance that they have a referral for me, I want it. Right? And if in the odd chance they're going to buy or sell a house, it would be great if I could represent them. That's another deal. And so I kind of set that tone and ask for those referrals from people who I understand once I'm successful in the business can 100% funnel them so much business And I know that it doesn't come back that way. People start with the realtor when they're looking for a house, and then, we're kind of the connectors. But if it were to happen, would I be that guy, or am I competing with somebody in the same household that they're, splitting bills with or whatever? That's something you need to know and challenge. Most people will say they've never heard that question asked. Does that sound good? Does that sound like you're not chasing the next lead? Absolutely. So 2 industry partner meetings per week when you're first starting. If you've been in it a while, maybe reconnect, because how many times have I met with a lender or, an inspector, and the next week I get a referral from them just because you're top of mind? Do they have people that send them business? For sure. Obviously, they're successful in the business, but just being top of mind and staying and building those relationships. And then when you want to do events and you want to do other things that are maybe outside the box, they're for sure on board because you're building that business. They're giving you some business in the meantime, or they're helping your business. They're committing to getting that loan done. They're doing the inspection diligently, but also coming from a realistic point of view with the buyer who may have never owned a home and is freaked out by everything. So that's a huge management process. And when you build those relationships with the right people, it changes your business forever. And the next is just attend one class. It can be about whatever you want. It can be CE, it can be at the Realtor board, it can be whatever. Just attend one class each week, all the way through your career, about something in the industry. The more you are in the know, the more you know the different programs, the more you know the different trends, the better asset you are. And when you're having those conversations, whether it's cold calls, spheres, door knocking, whatever you do to build your business, if you can have legitimately educated conversations with real life data, because you're talking to people weekly about what's going on and this crazy scenario, you will absolutely win. So just my 2 cents on the new agent grind, the getting back into it, or even the agent that's trying to scale. Work in your business, work on that lead generation, work on those conversations, work your sphere, and then have some time to work on your business and educate and learn. It's so great learning all the time, because if every single time someone comes to you and you have an answer, you have the right connection for them, you will absolutely get their referrals, you'll get their business, no matter who they have working in their household in the same industry. So that's my 2 cents. Thanks for tuning in. Go get a win today in the real estate world. Bye-bye.